Welcome to Navigating Advocacy, the true crime podcast that goes beyond storytelling to ignite change and seek justice. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Whitney. As true crime enthusiasts turned passionate advocates, we've seen the power of storytelling raise awareness about unsolved crimes and bring hope to victims and their families. We hope to inspire action and promote positive change within the true crime community.
Our mission is simple. We provide a platform for victims and their families to share their stories, to be heard, and find solidarity. But we don't stop there. We offer practical guidance to our listeners on how they can actively make a difference in their own communities.
Together, we can create a wave of change. We're here to empower you to also become advocates for change, no matter where or who you are. We are Navigating Advocacy.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, and it's finally sweater season in Texas.
Even in Florida, we got to, I believe it was 51 degrees this morning, which is insane. 3 days from now, we'll be back to 70s and 80s. So I'm not going crazy, but it has been nice to wear a snuggly hoodie.
Right? We don't get that often. And I mean, usually here it's cold because the wind is like brutal in Texas because there's nothing here to stop it. But it's been nice to, wake up and have that cup of coffee on the porch, like you said, all snuggly with a hoodie and your joggers and a cozy blanket. It's just like my favorite time of year.
It is. It also makes me not want to do any work because I'm like, I'm not going to sit in the house when the weather isn't on fire. And then no
It's
work
true.
gets done. But it's fine. Obviously, we're not missing an episode, so some work has been
Absolutely
getting
not.
done.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's really all we've got for this week. It's kind of a slow time of the year before it ramps up into holiday season. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into Arizona.
Ooh, so excited to listen to today's case.
Okay. This week, we are navigating advocacy in Yuma, Arizona. Known for its unique blend of history, culture, and natural beauty, it's a city with a rich heritage and a vibrant community. Situated in the southwestern corner of the state, Yuma is characterized by its arid desert climate, with scorching summers and mild winters. And even though Florida is the sunshine state, this city is famous for being the sunniest place on earth. There are more than 4,000 hours of sunshine annually. That's 91% of the year.
That's a lot of freaking sun.
Right?
I like our rainy weather here. It gives you some diversity in your weather, I guess.
Right. And I mean, I feel like Texas is at least 80% sunshine and then a little bit of rain. We're not super rainy, but I don't know. I've never checked the stats on that. Yuma's historical significance lies in its role as a key crossing point on the Colorado River during the westward expansion, and it's home to attractions like the Yuma Territorial Prison and the Yuma Quartermaster Depot Historic State Park. Both offers a glimpse into the Old West. With a strong agricultural presence, thanks to its fertile soil and access to the Colorado River, Yuma is often referred to as the winter lettuce capital of the world. It's also considered the gateway to California. Every community, including Yuma, faces its own set of challenges and opportunities when it comes to crime and justice. NeighborhoodScout.com reports Yuma being safer than 15% of U.S. neighborhoods. Your chance of becoming a victim of a violent crime is 1 in 207. In the 1990s, when this story takes place, Yuma had a population of around 57,000 people. In the 30 years since, it has nearly doubled in size.
Oh.
Yuma is the halfway point between Phoenix and San Diego, and it's right where Arizona, California, and Mexico all meet. So there's a lot of populations moving through the area. Amberly Ann Mendoza was a bright young girl who loved to rollerblade around her neighborhood and spend time with her family. She was a fourth grader at Valley Horizon Elementary School and loved eating pizza and drawing pictures. She absolutely loved shoes. She would always try and talk her mom into wearing her high heels to the park or just to play in, and her mom wouldn't let her. She also never shied away from a challenge. Her mother challenged her to read 10 books by the end of the day, and she would be rewarded with being able to watch the movie Pocahontas. Even though she didn't get all 10 books read, her mother still let her watch the movie anyway. March 8th, 1996 was seemingly a day like any other for 10-year-old Amberly. She was out of school on break and spent much of the time outdoors. The family was in preparation for a barbecue. Some reports said it was a celebration of a family member's birthday, but I wasn't able to find specifics as to why they were having this get together. Amberly's older sister Jordan and aunt ran to the store for some supplies for the get together. When they returned home, there was an unknown car parked in the driveway, seemingly staring at the house. When Jordan and her aunt did not recognize the man driving the car, and once the driver realized that the two women were watching him, he pulled away hastily. They shook off the strange feelings this man left behind, chalking it up to someone being lost or turning around, or that they were just being strange. With family and friends beginning to trickle in for the get together, their concerns just kind of faded away and they started to have a fun evening.
Yeah, most times you always explain these things away that are weird or strange. You're like, "Oh, I'm sure it's this." No one's well, except for us, but most people's minds don't go straight to something sinister or something horrible
Mhm.
happening. You just think, "Hey, this is weird," but it's not entirely out of place. And your mind definitely helps you make sense of things, even if it's sometimes not the truth.
Exactly. Later that evening, Amberly played with her friends, family members, cousins. They watched the movie Pocahontas, and the party mainly took place outside. But there were many people coming and going from the inside of the home, using the bathroom, refilling their plate with food. You know how it is when you have outdoor barbecues. Even if they're outdoor, people are always inside.
Yes, there's always, like, the groups of moms, oh, making sure that all the food is ready. Then there's people coming in and out, going to the bathroom or grabbing something, so, yeah, it's outside parties tend to be 50-50, inside and outside.
Exactly. Around 11:30, Amberly makes her rounds telling those at the party goodnight as she was getting tired and was planning to put herself to bed. She seems like such a responsible 10-year-old,
Yes!
realizing she was tired, making the rounds, saying goodnight to all of her family and friends. I know that my 10-year-old does not pay attention to his energy levels, and he'd probably stay awake for days if I didn't remind him that it was time to go to bed. He would just continuously sit in there and watch TV or read a book. I have to remind him, "Hey, it's bedtime."
Your body requires sleep. Go ahead and start
Right.
now.
Amberly goes back into her bedroom and cracks her window for a breeze. This was a regular occurrence, and Amberly was well versed in how the window operated. Despite all of Amberly's mother's wishes, she left the bedroom window unlocked regularly. Her mother had asked her many times not to, but Amberly and her sisters regularly disobeyed this rule because they used the window to climb in and out of the house when their mother was a little late coming home from work to unlock the door, or just to get in and out of her house when they're playing in the yard. They would crack the window and just climb in and out instead of walking around to the door, which sounds like something I would have done as a child. The window was facing the street, so all of her neighbors knew this is what she did. So when they saw Amberly climbing in and out of this window, it's just a regular occurrence. It's just what kids do.
I was gonna say I could totally see you doing this as a child.
Amberly shared her room with her sister, but this night of the party, Jordan had gone to their grandmother's home. Amberly was invited over, but she chose to not go for the sleepover this time. Some of the family members attended the party, ended up staying at the house that night instead of leaving. I'm sure it had something to do with alcohol consumption and people just being responsible and not driving. Amberly's mom did not tuck her in this night, as she did almost every single night, but trusted that Amberly had put herself to bed. The next morning on March 9th, Amberly's mom yells out around 11 a.m. for Amberly. She hadn't seen her yet this morning, and she didn't receive a response, but assumed that the fun loving girl had just woke up early and went outside to rollerblade in the neighborhood as she had done thousands of times before. Amberly's mom walked over to the front door and again yells out, kind of walks around the house, continuing to yell for Amberly. And after receiving no response, she walks into the house, getting a bit frustrated as to why her daughter isn't responding to her shouts. And I fully understand this sentiment. There's so many times I yell up the stairs for my kids to pay attention to me or to answer a question, and they are just ignoring me. So I can feel her frustrations reading the articles.
I think any mom can feel her frustration. We know it too well. We're like, I know you can hear me, but they
Hmm.
don't respond. But yeah, going outside is a whole nother level of frightening.
She opens the door to Amberly's room and discovers Amberly's lifeless body.
That was out of flippin' nowhere. I thought she was outside.
Amberly's mom immediately contacted law enforcement, and within minutes, they arrived at the home at the 17,000 block of 24th Lane. All of the members of the family were questioned, and Jordan was asked if anyone in her family had ever touched her inappropriately. And as a child, she was very confused as why people were honing in so much on her family. The party was still happening at the house where Amberly was attacked, but no one heard or saw anything.
The party was still happening the next morning?
No, when she was attacked. The party was still
Oh, when
happening
she was
when she
attacked.
was
Okay,
attacked.
gotcha.
Mhm. But no one had heard or saw anything that evening. The Arizona Republic postulated that the murderer could have entered the room through Amberly's cracked window. Her body was taken in for autopsy the following Monday, where it was discovered that she had been sexually assaulted and suffocated to death with her own pillow. The timeline of Amberly's death correlates with the same time as the party. DNA was found on Amberly's body, and after extensive testing, it was determined that it did not match a family member.
That's good news, but holy freaking crap. Who is just brazen enough to do that to a little child while there's a party going on?
This story is beyond a nightmare. It reminds me so much of Rosie Tapia. I cannot
Oh my god, yes.
I can't imagine how Amberly's mother feels, thinking your family is safe and sound, you're in your own home, you're just feet away, and the absolute worst thing that could happen did right there when she was
And
feet
a
away.
and then being the one to find her?
Mhm.
Oh my god. This is making me sick today.
I'm sorry. Amberly's funeral services were held at the St. Francis of Assisi Church. As time passed, the family began to question all of the events leading up to the murder. Jordan and her aunt remembered the strange encounter with the car parked in the driveway that had sped off and wondered if it could be correlated. Jordan also talked about how before Amberly's murder, they had seen and heard someone outside of their window at night. The window faced the street, and being in an urban area, Jordan calmed Amberly and would explain it away. Amberly was adamant that someone was looking in the window, but Jordan said she was imagining things, just like big sisters do. It was fine. Don't worry about it. Just go back to sleep. One other instance, Jordan remembers hearing a scream outside of her window. And when she and Amberly went to look out, they heard two men talking about how they needed to get out of the area. They never thought to say anything to a grown up because as a kid, you just don't know. You don't realize the gravity of the situation. And when you don't know something, you're not always inclined to ask about it. You just kind of let it go.
Yeah, and they're adults, and you just don't always question it, especially in this time frame. Yes, kids will question adults way more now, but back then you didn't as frequently. And you're just, if you lived in this neighborhood or this urban area, there's people all around all the time. You're like, hey, it's just some neighbors, not a big deal.
Right.
So it's not surprising to me that they didn't bring any of this up. But looking back, I'm glad that Jordan remembered these things that happened like later on now that she's telling the situation.
Amberly's mother also remembered a strange event that happened when she had separated from her husband. She had borrowed a guard dog from her uncle to help her feel a little bit more at ease while being home alone. This was the first time she had been home alone in a very, very long time. One day while outside, the dog started barking. And as she made her way inside the house, she heard someone say, "Shh, shh, shut up, dog." This made her look around the yard, and she thought she saw someone standing behind the tree. It was dark outside, so Amberly's mom tossed it up to her imagination playing tricks on her. I think we all have those scary moments where we imagine these things, and we very quickly explain them away to kind of calm ourselves down.
I have been in this situation with my husband being away for in the military where I'm by myself in a neighborhood I don't even know with 2 kids, and many nights I would just pace the house or look out the random windows if I would think I would hear something, and there would never be anything out there. But it was terrifying all the same.
The guard dog went back to her uncle's home about a week before Amberly was murdered. I don't know if this is because Amberly's mother was feeling safe or if the uncle just needed the dog to be returned. It could have even been because the party was being planned. In the years since, little to no other information has ever been released in Amberly's death. No advancements in her case have been announced. I'm confident that with the technological advancements in DNA from the 90s to now, that Amberly's attacker could be found. Now, whether this is a situation that the law enforcement agency just doesn't have the funds or the resources to conduct these testings on cold cases or not, I'm not sure. Again, there's very, very little information. The Yuma Family Advocacy Coalition was founded in 1999 and established Amberley's Place Family Advocacy Center. The center offers immediate crisis intervention, on site medical attention, and one time video interviews to avoid re traumatization of victims, while providing a safe and nurturing environment. It is not clinical, it is a calm, warm, inviting place. They also provide victim assistance and help with obtaining orders of protection, court escorts, and help walk them through the criminal justice process. They offer what they call, quote, complete wraparound services, meaning they can provide emergency food, clothing, and housing as well. Working with all law enforcement agencies in Yuma County, they are able to use their team members to locate all of those involved in the investigation because they treat child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and elder abuse all in the same facility. This allows investigations to be expedited by keeping all of the victims of each crime together. These services were not available to the Mendoza family. And 4 years after Amberly's murder, they approached her for permission to use Amberly's name and story to honor her. Amberly's Place is the only family advocacy center in Yuma County, Arizona, with a crisis team to assist victims of domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault, and elder abuse. They have a 24-hour helpline that you can reach at 928-373-0849. I am encouraging all of our listeners to donate if you can. If you cannot, please share these resources. You never know when just sharing that phone number may help someone. If you have any information related to the murder of Amberly Ann Mendoza, please contact the Yuma Police Department at 928-373-4700. Or you can remain anonymous if you call 928-782-78 Crime is a community program designed to help bring law enforcement, news media, and citizens together to combat crime. It's been almost 3 decades since Amberly was taken from her loved ones, and no one has answers as to why.
Well, first of all, I have to applaud Yuma for having that's really like state of the art considering a lot of other places could use resources like that that's going to streamline it and access all in one area.
Right. How is there not a family advocacy center of that caliber in every major city? Every city, for that matter. Why
Agreed.
is it not part of law
Yes.
enforcement already?
Yeah, or at least one in every county. I can figure people can mainly get into counties. That's just amazing what they have there.
Mhm.
I am really excited to look into that resource.
Right. That's it. It's such a sad one. Just by listening to our content, you too are advocating for justice for these families. Thank you for making a difference in their lives as well.
We want to share a few ways you can support us to continue our mission. You can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $5 per month, or a simple rate and review on your favorite podcast platform helps us get in front of someone who may know something.